Alright, so today we're reacting to something very, very different. This isn't music. Normally I do music reactions. But here we're going to be looking at how America makes Britain look like a tiny village. Now, I know how big it is and how maps can be deceiving, but when you see videos like this, I've not seen it, but I can already envision what is going to happen because I've seen the thumbnail. It really puts things into perspective, so let's see.
174 square miles is larger than not just London, but half of the English counties.
Lost in the pond.
Hello, I'm Lawrence, and I'm on a quest to uncover all of the memos that Britain and America lost in the pond, and one of those memos pertains to size. They say that size doesn't matter, but have they looked at a map recently? Because it does matter when you move from Britain to the United States of America.
So he's moved there, I presume.
You see, somebody once said that the biggest difference between Britain and America is that Americans think that 100 years is a long time and that the British think that 100 miles is a long way. And I definitely used to think like this. For instance, I used to think that travelling from my hometown of Grimsby to the city of Manchester was a long way.
And that is a very long way. Like, I'm in London, going up to Manchester, that's a drive. That's not a drive. Maybe I'll do that once a year. I mean, I do it once a year for work, but driving there like on a whim, if we wanted to go anywhere that was in and around Manchester, we would just never go. Like, there's sometimes I look up places to visit, like there's like activities or like a spa day or something. You find a really good location. If it's basically anywhere upwards of the Midlands, like Manchester, Liverpool, I just immediately rule it out as we're not going there. It's too far.
It was only 100 miles. But after moving to the United States, where long-distance commutes and cross-country road trips are not that unusual, I soon realised that Americans viewed 100 miles as no biggie. And as somebody who now fairly frequently does the commute from Chicago to Indianapolis...
So that's nearly double what he just had up there, which was the width of the north side of England. Not the biggest width of it is, or England, yeah, like one of the bigger widths of England, because if you go down, like this is Wales. So if you're saying UK, then maybe it's bigger here, but still that's nearly double what this is, and I'd consider that a very long way. And he's saying that's like a daily commute.
As the commute from Chicago to Indianapolis.
How's that?
I have fallen in line with my American comrades.
It can't be daily.
In case you don't believe me, or in case you're one of those British people that I often hear about, that comes to the United States and expects to see New York City, Las Vegas, San Francisco, and the Grand Canyon all in one weekend, then allow me to present to you.
I'm not that naive. I know they're far away.
Highlight the scale of the United States in all its glory. Let's take a look. Firstly, let's take a look at the United States as a whole. If we include land and water, which we will be doing throughout this video, the United States has a total area of about 3.8 million square miles. In that respect, it could contain 40 not just Britons, but UKs. And for clarification, the UK is Britain plus Northern Ireland. The biggest country within the United Kingdom is
And that's something that baffles me, because so it's about 40 times bigger off just like area size-wise. But the population is nowhere near 40 times bigger. And that's why you've got so much empty space in America, I guess. There's just roads that go on for hundreds, thousands of miles, and you might not see shit. Is that true? I think that's true, right?
Northern Ireland. The biggest country within the United Kingdom is my home country of England. And you've almost certainly heard that the United States has an entire region named after it. Let's have a look at how they compare. As the United States goes, New England is a relatively small area of land comprising 6 states: Maine, New Hampshire, Vermont, Connecticut, Massachusetts.
And they've even got Manchester, which is one of the things he just brought up on the path. But that's the thing, there's probably so many names that are repeated. I know in Canada they've got London, and they've got the River Thames, and some of the streets are named the same. They've got like a Hyde Park, and it's just like a whole duplicate, but Manchester in the US there, didn't know that existed.
Massachusetts and Rhode Island.
Portsmouth. There's got Portsmouth as well. Exeter. This is a bunch of UK names right here. Hampshire, New Hampshire, Windsor. That's down the road from London.
And despite the fact that 5 of those states feature in a list of the 7 smallest, the New England states combined are almost 22,000 square miles bigger than England. In fact, you could throw in Wales and Northern Ireland and New England would still come out on top. But even when you add in Scotland, there are certain other states that are bigger than the entire United Kingdom. Now, long ago, I made a video
11.
on the 11 states that are larger than the UK. But this video was mostly crap, and the chief complaint about it was that I didn't show any maps, so you just had to imagine it. Well, to show that I've grown as a YouTuber, and to visually put these 11 states into a UK context, I've put together a graphic. Have you ever seen those videos that compare the size of the Earth to the size of the Sun, and then the Sun to the next biggest star, and the next biggest star to the next biggest star, and so on? Well, I thought it would be fun to do the same thing with the UK, and its 11 American overlords. So here are 11 US...
This guy's jokes. 11 American overlords.
11 American overlords. So here are 11 US states with a total area, that's land and water, that's larger than the UK.
Okay. Yep. It's probably only going to get bigger from here on out. See, how's this happening then? How is that like a square? Well, it's not exactly a square. It's more of a rectangle. But how is it? How have they decided? How have they done that then? Like it always baffles me when I see Egypt on a map as well, because Egypt's just like a fucking like a right angle. But a whole state is just a square. Have they genuinely got like a line that's just like a border the whole way across each corner? Or what's going on there then? Wait, there's loads of squares. Are these the actual shapes of the... I mean, it looks like they are because these ones are a bit more, you know, random. But how many states are just squares? Nevada's looking more like Egypt upside down. That's a big square. Oh, it gets bigger. See, I knew California was big, but you don't... Okay, yeah, Texas is 100,000 miles more than California. And Alaska, but yeah, but that's mostly just like empty, right? Alaska. Yeah, that's crazy.
Now, if this were a game of top trumps, the United States would be winning by a country mile. So before we continue, I am going to throw in a fun fact that allows the UK a moment of glory. The most number of US states that you could collectively fit into the entire UK is 10. Now, admittedly, it is the smallest 10, and those are West Virginia, Maryland, Vermont, New Hampshire, Massachusetts, New Jersey, Hawaii, Connecticut, Delaware, and Rhode Island.
Hey, winning. We can fit 10 in. Come on.
Hawaii, Connecticut, Delaware, and Rhode Island. But one thing that you might notice about all of those, with the exception of Hawaii, is that they are east of the Mississippi River. But once you go west, things become so big that your eyes fall off. And something that really seems to get bigger out west are counties. You may remember last year I did a video on the differences between British and American counties, and one of those differences was size. For context, I want you to keep in mind that the largest county in the UK is North Yorkshire. This clocks in at roughly 3,341 square miles. So it is itself more than half the size of Northern Ireland. Well, at this point in the video, it won't surprise you to hear that the United States has well over 100 counties larger than that, and the vast majority of them are out west. Now, if we allow for county equivalents like boroughs and census areas, Alaska has 2 county equivalents that are not just larger than North Yorkshire, but the entire United Kingdom. Alaska, you are massive and you need to be stopped.
It does.
And you might say, well, Alaska's almost too massive, so this is just cheating.
And
yeah, it is true.
And what is it mostly empty? Like I said earlier, like what? How many people live in Alaska? Population of Alaska. Yeah, that's fucking crazy. That big of an area for no one to be there. More in Hawaii, and it's tiny. So what's the population of London then? Is that like 8? Yeah, 8 mil. So there's about 11 times more people living in London, which is probably about 100 times smaller than Alaska.
just cheating.
It's not
And it is
mathing.
true, Alaska is like the Galactus of American states. We should start calling it Galaska. But even if you drop down into the lower 48 contiguous states, there are some counties that are so big that they make certain countries look like quaint villages. Take, for example, the largest in the lower 48, San Bernardino County in California. At over 20,000 square miles, it's approximately 4 times the size of Northern Ireland and more than twice the size of Wales. And it's not alone. San Bernardino County is one of 10 counties with a square mile area of 5 digits. Now, in both Britain and America, within your average county, you'll probably find a city or two, and it'll be of no surprise to you whatsoever that America's largest cities are larger than the UK's largest cities.
Shock. Who's surprised?
In the UK, the largest city by total area is comfortably London. In fact, at 671 square miles, it is...
I mean, you got the city of London inside, which is just basically, it seems like a couple of roads. That's like where the congestion zone is. That's what you guys would probably know as London. London Eye, Big Ben, the Shard, fucking the River Thames. I mean, the River Thames travels for ages, east and west, and goes into the country, but like that part of the London Thames is one that most people would know. But yeah, Greater London. I'm on the west side of Greater London. Calm. And it still takes me. And if we're talking about miles, I'm probably 10 miles west. 10 miles west of the city of London, of central London. And it still can take me upwards of an hour just to go 10 miles, which is a joke. And you don't really drive into London. It's very rare. No one really drives in. It's trains.
21 square miles, it is the 3rd largest in Europe. Now, it's important to remember that that's before we take into account the wider metropolitan area. And indeed, before we do that, there are several cities in the United States that are considerably larger than 671 square miles.
Jeez, he's got the B-roll of himself like that.
None of these go by the name of New York, Chicago, or Los Angeles, though this changes somewhat when we do account for each city's metropolitan area. But again, before we do that, I've said do twice.
Yeah, I was going to say.
The largest 4 places in America
before we
that
do
reasonably define as a city are all located in Alaska. Anchorage, Juneau, Wrangell, and Sitka all measure well into the thousands of square miles.
They don't look like real words. Let alone places.
Now again, it's super Alaska. Everything is huge. So instead, let's take a look at the opposite end of the country down in Jacksonville, Florida. Jacksonville, Florida is surprisingly massive, owing partly to the fact that it consolidated with Duval County in 1968. Nonetheless, when you add up its water and land area, Jacksonville is the largest city in the lower 48. And at 874 square miles is larger than not just London, but half of the English counties. Now, if you take into account the metropolitan areas of both...
I've been to Florida twice. Interesting place. I went there when I was young, both times. Going to Disney World, you know, the standard. That's the main reason anyone goes to Florida, I guess. And I was baffed. We're walking down the road, and all of a sudden there was like this lake and a sign that was like, beware crocodiles. Or alligators, whatever it was there. I don't know what it was. And I was like, bro, we've got nothing here. We've got like fish. If you're lucky, you might find some fish. And they're saying, beware crocodiles. And there was just like geckos and lizards going up the pavement, which was pretty cool. But I was terrified that a crocodile or gator was just going to pop out of the fucking lake and bite off my arm.
But half of the English counties.
That scared me as a kid.
Now, if you take into account the metropolitan areas of both Jacksonville and London, Jacksonville marginally comes out on top. And that's despite the fact, yes, I changed my shirt, and that's despite the fact that Jacksonville is significantly down the pecking order when it comes to America's largest metropolitan areas. In terms of square mileage, there are dozens across the country that outmatch it, but none more so than the San Bernardino metropolitan area, otherwise known as the Inland Empire. The Riverside San Bernardino, Ontario metropolitan area covers more than 27,000 square miles, almost the total area of Scotland. That's it for this episode. Let me know in the comments below some of the experiences you've had in the United States that have really highlighted its enormity. Be sure to share this video with your friends and family so that it travels far and wide. I'm Lawrence Brown. You can follow me on Twitter at LostInThePondUS. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel so that my videos don't get lost in the pond. This video was made possible by my patrons.
Subscribe to this guy.
If you would like to support Lost in the Pond, you can do so today at patreon.com/LostInThePond. Until the next video, goodbye.
Yeah, go and drop the original video some love. That'll be the first link in the description if you are watching this. Yeah, interesting. I do want to go to America more though. So as I said, I've been Florida twice, and I've been to LA for a uni trip where we went to Hans Zimmer's studio, and didn't do much else to be honest. Just went to the theme parks, but I want to see more of America. What place would you recommend in America to go to if somewhere that's not like, you know, everyone goes to New York, Florida for Disney, California. What are like the other states that aren't like as well traveled by tourists? What's like a niche one that you would recommend? Let me know. But if you want me to check out more stuff like this, more stuff to do with America or any other country for that matter, let me know, and I'll see you in a bit. Bye bye.